Ubisoft have announced their first post-release plans and Year 1 roadmap for what we can enjoy in Shadows, and it looks like we've got a lot of good stuff coming our way. It's really good that the community feedback's being acted on and that there's a lot of free new content coming up, as well as the optional paid stuff, which will hopefully eventually feed into the exchange. But the question is, would you like to know more? I am Pedder, and welcome to the first of hopefully many Assassin's Creed Shadows videos I'll be doing. I hope you're enjoying the game. I thought I wouldn't like the dual protagonist thing, losing my trusty scout bird, and some of the other changes, but I must admit I'm having a lot of fun with the game, and it does look amazing. So what's all this about? Why am I doing this? It's definitely not to annoy Ubisoft. I am a big fan of the open world RPG Assassin's Creed games, and all of them are still on my PC for whenever I want to run around and get up to some shenanigans in some fun historical locations. Basically, starting in 2021, I've worked with Andy Reloads, going through the data on the Assassin's Creed games, Valhalla, Mirage, data mining, leaking, hacking, whatever you want to call it. If by some chance you haven't heard of Andy, please do check out his channel. There'll be a link below. He's a great guy and he does some really good content, not just on the Assassin's Creed games. A lot's changed since then. Andy now gets well-deserved recognition from Ubisoft and other game developers, which allows him to get preview access, etc., and to release some amazing content for us all to enjoy early. Now, no one wants to jeopardise that, so I thought it best that I cover the prediction stuff I do on my own, as well as some of the more personal opinion pieces. As I said, I'm a big fan of the open world RPG games. I never really played the earlier ones, but they're on my to-do list. And I've got a lot of admiration for the devs and the artists. In fact, Valhalla was the first game I ever pre-ordered a season pass for, based on how much fun I'd had with Origins and Odyssey. And I really did enjoy playing Valhalla. So after I finished the main game, I thought I'd see what I could find in the data for clues as to what was coming up. And it turned out it was a lot. So we made a lot of vids, did little dance, etc. And we were mostly right in our predictions, including that Mirage was actually going to be set in Baghdad by confirming it in the actual game data. It must have seemed like we were doing a good promotion and showcasing job for Ubisoft, as the videos were pretty popular and were covered by other creators, and we even got some press. I do also genuinely think we did a lot to keep interest in the game over its 2-year life cycle. At least that was the feedback we got, and it seems people like to have something to look forward to. Alright, enough intro, I hear you cry. What else do we know? Well, I'm not going to go over everything that was announced in the post-launch plans, but as usual, Andy did an excellent job covering it in his video, and there'll be a link below. If you do want to know more details, you're in the right place. So, what do we know? Well, the truth is not too much yet. When I and others like Ubisoft and Q were originally looking in the data back in the day, the devs caught on to what we were doing and started leaving us little Easter eggs to find, like changing a placeholder image to this one. But that was then, and sadly it's harder to find stuff now, but I'll give it a go. As always in any vids I put out, I won't be covering any major story spoilers. It'll be game mechanics, gear, locations, characters, etc. And obviously please do bear in mind that things can and do change, but it's fun to speculate. And hopefully you know the score. There will be spoilers, there will be swearing, and I will be drinking. So, expansion number 2. I wasn't going to cover this initially, but as Ubisoft posted a picture a while back on Andy's Discord confirming what I'd already found in the data, and now Jorraptor speculated about the map in his latest video, I thought I may as well. There's a link to Jor's video below. Ubisoft has given us a big clue in the study building of our hideout about expansion number 2. We knew early on that 2 expansions were planned from the original season pass announcement that came out last year, and if you've pre-ordered Shadows now, you will get the Claws of Awaji, the first DLC, included. Awaji is actually this island over here, and if you look over to the right, there's another highlighted region, and in the data this is listed along with expansion Awaji as expansion Owari. And that is Owari province, the birthplace of Oda Nobunaga. Depending when it's set, the real history makes sense for Owari to be the centre of a second expansion. Now this isn't based on anything I've found in the data, but after the main game events you'll have Hideyoshi trying to continue unification, the Oda clan succession disputes, battles including the Battle of Shizugatake, apologies for the pronunciation, although this actually took place in Omi province, but it's worth remembering the previous game expansions took place in other places as well. So just because it's referred to as Owari in the game data doesn't mean it's set there exclusively. And also the Battle of Kamaki and Nagakute. Owari was also believed to be where the Kusanagi sword, part of the imperial regalia, was believed to be housed at the Atsuta shrine in Nagoya. So it sounds like a classic Assassin's Creed setting to me. Obviously expansion 2 is a long way off, and I'll let you know as and when I find more information on it, but I can't imagine we'll see it till Christmas at the earliest, or more likely next year. We have expansion 1 Claws of Awaji first, and I'll have a vid out on that soon, which will obviously be free of any story spoilers. From what I have found, it's looking really interesting with some very cool stuff in, if I'm interpreting the data correctly, that is. Although I haven't found any signs yet of any possible expansion 3, I'm personally hoping for an additional one that is more sort of folklore or mythological, Isu trippy kind of thing. I honestly didn't think I'd enjoy the Dawn of Ragnarok expansion for Valhalla, but I think the Sophia studio did a really good job with it overall. The new game mechanics were fun and it did look great. I did get sick of carrying fucking dwarfs around though. Okay, back to the roadmap. From the announcement we know we'll be getting a lot more new content including packs, but I can't be certain which are going to be Helix or Animus packs, including collaborations like with Sprecher and Red Bull, etc., or licensed crossovers like with Destiny 2 and Monster Hunter that we had in Valhalla, or rewards in projects, or even possibly from story drops. It's also worth noting that I did find a reference to fake microtransactions year 1, so the devs may still be toying with us like they did in the past, but it's all good fun to speculate, discuss and look forward to. Typically the nearer the pack, DLC or whatever is to release, the more footprint we can find in the data. So judging by the references in the files, the next pack likely to be released is the Tengu pack, and that will have an outfit for both characters, a weapon each, a mount, etc. We do know what the mount was scheduled to look like, courtesy of the amazing art blast that Ubi kindly shared, which originally was labelled differently and featured some extra information. I've redacted the artist name and I really hope they didn't get into any trouble on this. The work is really amazing. Again, apologies in advance for my butchery of the Japanese language. Tengu are legendary creatures in Shinto belief, and they're considered to be a type of yokai, supernatural being, or a Shinto kami, which is a god or a spirit. The Tengu were originally thought to take forms of birds of prey or monkey deities, and were traditionally depicted with human, monkey, and avian characteristics. Thank you, Wikipedia. They're depicted as having red faces and big noses. Minor spoiler, we do encounter the Dai Tengu in game, which has a trademark big nose, wings, etc. So I can't imagine we get a rework of this guy's outfit as a Helix set, thankfully. So maybe something with wings or feathers and a monkey or bird mask, red headgear, etc. Who knows, but I'm looking forward to seeing what the artists have come up with. I mean, in Valhalla, the Helix packs were a lot more fantastical. Not really my taste for in-game, but they were certainly spectacular. And if the stats and the perks are good, there's always Transmog, which I'm so happy was included at this game at launch. The same art blast actually showed us the likely amount of the next set that I found in the data, the Kinsigu. Now, you may be familiar with this from the prayers made to Naoe's flute in game and the discussion that she has with the Tea Master. It's the practice that treats breakage and repair as part of the history of an object rather than something to try to hide, which is something I've always really liked the idea of. So possibly we get some gold motifs running through the set. Maybe perks along the same theme, something about absorbing damage or something along those lines. And again, the files show a dual set, so an outfit for both and weapons each. Now we're getting to the gear that's probably furthest from showing up, so there's much less in the way of info at the moment. We have listings for a Dark Kitsune weapon pack, and the rest all seem to be full gear packs. So we have Earth and Lightning, which makes me think of the Mayan set that we had in Valhalla for some reason. This could possibly be related to the Japanese storm deity of Raijin, and one of Yasuke's Okatana abilities seems to have originally been called the Raijin Dash, which I'm guessing became the Power Dash in game. So I get the impression, to avoid any controversy, Ubisoft aren't going to name game items after the kami or whatever that inspired them. I'm pretty certain the Cane or Flame pack was originally going to be called Kagutsuchi, which is the kami of fire. The Sakurio, which means stone, red, or dragon, depending on how it's written, was Ryujin, the dragon kami. So similarly, we have a Sun and Moon pack. There's also a reference to Amaterasu gear, but I couldn't find one for the Moon Kami, which is called Tsukuyumi. But I'm guessing we'll get a yellow gold outfit for one and a silver and blue outfit for the other. And if Shadows follows Shinto, Yasuke will be the moon and Naue will be the sun. We then have Hanabi, which is a fireworks festival to ward off evil. So maybe something colourful, or my preference would be black with splashes of colour. I don't really do colour. This is my modded Eivor in Valhalla, and this is how Naue looks for me in Shadows. And hopefully we'll get some explosive perks, as I do miss them. The actual festival usually takes place sometime between July and August, and this year it's scheduled from the 1st to the 3rd of August. So I'm assuming, like with the Sakura pack, we'll get it in the correct time of year. Up next we have the Mecha pack, which, if it's anything like previous games, may be a bit more Isu or futuristic looking. And the last character pack referenced is Yamoka. Again, apologies for pronunciation. Now, a web search brought up this talented guy who's probably most famous for composing music for the Silent Hill game series. So maybe we're getting some scary stuff, maybe around Halloween. I can't imagine demon nurses and Pyramid Head running around feudal Japan, but hey, after Valhalla, anything's possible. An example of the kind of rabbit hole I go down while I'm researching this kind of stuff is this also brought up a link to Dead by Daylight, which is a game that seems to already have a lot of collaborations or crossovers, and even has a map called Yamoko Estate, possibly named after the composer, which also has a Japanese theme. So either option sounds like good spooky fun to me. What I can only assume is another collaboration event is listed as Balatro. Now, this is a card game, so I'll be intrigued to see how this works its way into the game. Maybe the Portuguese are introducing some form of gambling. And now for what I assume are some story drops. We have one listed as Stooges, so maybe we get some light relief after all the scary stuff. After all, some of the Lost Tales of Greece were pretty funny. And Critical Role, which seems to be linked to some kind of weapon pack, but I can't tell whether it's a reward for the actual story itself or a paid for pack which is launched alongside it. We did have theme packs released around the time of Valhalla's expansions for Wrath of the Druids and Siege of Paris, that being the Mystical and the Charlemagne packs. And finally, we have what I'm assuming to be 3 hideout packs, which are labelled as Dragon, Golden, and Overgrown. So that is a lot, and I'm fairly certain I haven't even found half of it. So it's looking pretty good in my view. I'll keep you posted as I find more. Please do like and subscribe to keep up to date. I'd also like to just thank Andy Reloads and everyone past and present on his Discord for putting up with me ranting for all these years, and also Ubisoft for giving me some games that I felt worth ranting about. If you've enjoyed this and the stuff I did with Andy, please consider donating to my Ko-fi site. Let's face it, I'm not going to make any money from YouTube. I'm particularly looking at any of you lovely content creators out there who may want to cover what I dig up. Come on, you know you're going to get some views out of it. The Valhalla stuff took literally hundreds of hours of work, and I'll expect I'll do the same for Shadows. So if any of you old school reloaders may want to buy me a drink or two, I'd really appreciate it. And who knows, maybe even the legend that is Mr. Reloads might get me one of these coffees he's been promising for all these years. Cheers.